This conference will now be recorded.
So hi all, good evening, good morning. Thank you for joining. So today we have the first day or the day 01 session of our training plan JMeter Beginner to Master integrated with Dynatrace as well as the live sessions. Okay. So yesterday in the demo session, we discussed the course curriculum, like what all things we are going to cover in this training, as well as we for all the different training sessions, we are going to have the lab sessions as well. So as per the demand from you all yesterday, there is a change in the timing of the lab sessions. So the lab sessions will be now conducted every morning 9:30 a.m. 9:15 a.m. to 10:15 a.m. from Monday to Friday. Okay. So I think it will make you all happy. So right now from today, our regular sessions will start. So let me share my screen. Please let me know once you are able to view it. Okay. So we'll cover the performance testing basics today. So I request everyone to ask every simple question, whatever you have in your mind, so that you can clarify your doubts. Our target is to, like start from the beginning, so that the beginners can also understand and grasp the fundamentals, the concepts of performance testing. Any queries till now?
Sorry, a quick question. See, now you're telling like the JMeter from beginning to like expert and and integration with Dynatrace. So the Dynatrace is not an open source, right? So we need to buy a license for it. Hello.
So as I covered yesterday, so yes, Dynatrace is a commercial tool. However, for our training, we will be using the trial version which Dynatrace provides, 15 days free trial. And then as part of your enterprise, if you have Dynatrace deployed, you will be able to use that.
Thanks.
Yeah. Any other queries? Okay, so thank you. Let me share my screen. Please let me know once you are able to view my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yeah. So if you have any queries in the middle of the session, please unmute yourself and ask the questions, or else you can also ping in the chat window and I will be, answering your questions. Okay. So let's start. So welcome to the day 01 session of JMeter Beginner to Master with Dynatrace. So as I discussed yesterday, the different hints which I gave, like the day of the exam results publication, the Tatkal ticket booking, the Flipkart first big billion day sale, right? If we think of these points, then what comes to our mind? It comes about the performance of the application, right? On the day of the exam results, my website to view the results becomes slow. It doesn't come up for many of the users. Similarly, Tatkal ticket booking is very difficult. People do not get a chance to book their tickets using the Tatkal facility. Similarly, the first big billion day sale of Flipkart failed because the servers went down. Okay, so this resembles with the performance of the application. Now, when I say performance, What does it refer to? So it refers to the performance requirements, right? What should be the requirements of an application? So they are like response time of different application screens should be less than 2 seconds. So this is one example that if I have an application, okay, the application screens in my web application, they should load within 2 seconds to the user, right? Now remember this thing, the industry standard, okay, the industry standard for ideal response time for different web applications is 5 seconds. What does it imply? That if the application screens load within 5 seconds, then I can say that my application is behaving or is having a good performance, and the user experience will be better. My users who is using the application, they will have a good experience with my application. The application shall be able to handle at least 1000 transactions per second. So this comes when there are a lot of users, a lot of concurrent users accessing the application. And at that point of time, when every user is accessing the application, they will do the transactions on the application, right? So my requirement is that my application should be able to handle 1000 transactions per second. So this is also one example of a performance requirement. The application shall support 2000 concurrent users. Now, as on today, if we see, every application is on the internet. So it is expected that so many users or so many end users will be accessing my application. Please note down the terms which I'm using. End users, okay, not the IT users, but end users. So my customers basically. So whenever you are going for interview, you need to use these terms, okay? So concurrency is the main objective, okay? For example, now one user is accessing, after 2 minutes, I do not, that particular user logs out, then another user comes and accesses the application. In that case, that is not concurrency, okay? Concurrency means at the same time, all the users are accessing the application. Any queries till now on the 3 examples which I gave for the performance test requirements?
Sir, Deepak this side.
Sorry, can you please come again?
Yeah, Deepak this side. I have query, sir.
Yeah, Deepak.
Yeah. In concurrency, sir. Suppose for means for 1 minute in per second, I have to give a load of 60 user per second for 1 minute.
Okay.
Mhm. For that, how we can proceed further, sir?
Okay, so Deepak, I'll request you to have, we will take your question because we are just starting and these are performance testing basics. Okay, so
Mm.
there would be participants in the call who would not be aware. So I'll take your question later. Okay, so that
Okay, sir.
let's go into the basics so that others also can, understand that. And then when I explain the answer to your question, they will be able to understand it in a more better way, right?
Okay, okay, sir. No issue on that.
Yeah. Any other queries, guys?
Yeah,
Please
actually, I
ask.
have a doubt.
Yeah.
So, like, sometimes performance of application is not consistent to all users, right? For example, if you take the Tatkal ticket booking, so if there are
Yeah.
like 3 person, one person might feel it's like loading and loading and loading. The page
Yes.
doesn't open, and the other person like he's able to even book the ticket. So, like,
Yeah.
what is the logic behind this performance of that website, for instance?
Very good question. Okay. Very good question. Let me show you something. Okay. So if I take the architecture of an application, okay, if I take the architecture of an application. I'm drawing some blocks. So is it visible to everyone?
Yes, yes, yeah, we can.
Okay. So this is my server. Okay, I'm illustrating that this is my server. Okay, so this is my server, and this is like my client 1. Okay, similarly, I have like client 2, I have client 3, I have client 4. So these clients are nothing but end users. So for example, let's say if one user is accessing from one machine, another user is accessing from another machine, another user is accessing from another machine, fourth user is accessing from another machine. So all these are clients, agree? So whenever each of the client is trying to access the application server, okay, one thread is getting opened. One thread, okay, one open connection. One thread is getting generated to which is connecting to the application. Okay, agreed till now? So
Yes, sir.
when these threads are connecting to the server, they are utilizing the resources. Remember these terms. They are utilizing the resources. So when I say resources, what do I mean? I mean CPU. I mean memory. I mean disk space. Okay. These are the resources of the system, right? Of the server. Now, every CPU has some capacity, memory has some capacity, disk space has some capacity. We'll not discuss disk space now because disk space will come into picture when you have a lot of data and there is no disk space available. But the question which has been asked, it is to do with CPU and memory. Now, when one thread has already started connecting and doing its operation, it is utilizing the resources. So let's say 3/3 have already connected and they're utilizing the resources. When the fourth thread is coming, already these 3/3 have consumed the CPU, the memory. So there is no resource, okay? There is no resource available for this fourth client. For example, I'll tell you, you are going to a restaurant, okay? You are going to a restaurant. There are 4 tables in that restaurant. Now, when you go to eat to that restaurant, you're already seeing that all the tables are occupied. Okay, all the tables are occupied. Now, my question is the restaurant closed? Is the restaurant closed? No, right? It is open. The restaurant is open. That is, my application is up. My server is up. But there is no table to eat. Why? Because all the tables have been consumed. All the tables are filled up. So what I have to do? I have to wait if I want to eat in that restaurant. But I want to eat in that restaurant because it is my favorite restaurant. Similarly, on the Tatkal ticket booking day, this user has to connect, has to book the ticket. But already these three threads have consumed all the resources. So they are able to do their operations, but this thread is not able to do, and this thread is unlucky. Okay, so these are operating system concepts. So if the CPU, okay, if so CPU has, you know, it has different algorithms based on which the resource utilization is provided. Okay, so in this case, one thread is not able to access the resource and hence they cannot book the ticket. Understood the
Yeah,
logic?
got it. Yeah,
Yeah.
got it. Understood.
Any other queries?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please tell me. No queries? Okay, so let me proceed. So now I explain what are the different hints towards applications performance, what can be the examples for performance requirements. Okay, so before going to the different types of performance testing, I want to explain, okay, I want to explain that what is a performance testing. Okay, what is a performance testing? Okay, so please remember, it is a testing process. Okay, it is a testing process. What are we testing here? What are we testing here? We are testing the speed. We are testing the speed. We are testing the response time. Okay, we are testing the response time. We are testing the stability. Okay, we are testing the reliability. We are testing the scalability. Then we are testing the resource usage. We are testing the resource usage of the hardware. Now we are testing all these parameters. So speed, then the response time, stability, reliability, scalability, resource usage. And what are we identifying? We are identifying bottlenecks. Please remember, whenever somebody asks you in the interview, what is the objective of performance testing? Please remember, okay? Many times this question will be asked, why do we need performance testing? So you have to explain that performance test, with the help of performance testing, we will be able to verify the speed, the response time, the stability, the reliability, the scalability, the resource usage of the software under test or the application under test. And once during this process, we will identify bottlenecks. Okay, we will identify bottlenecks. Now, if you have to explain bottleneck, have you guys seen a bottle? Have you guys seen a bottle?
Yeah.
Yes.
So the shape is like this, right? Sorry. I'm trying to explain very fundamentally, so that you understand the concepts. Because if your concepts are clear, you will be able to understand all the sessions. Now this is a bottle, right? Which one is the bottleneck? This one, correct? This portion is my bottleneck. Agree? Now, this bottle has this much of space, right? This bottle has this much of space, but the neck is narrow. And this neck, okay, for example, this bottle has a volume of 2 liters If I directly pour 2 liters, will all of them go? This bottleneck will prevent that flow, right? If I have a wider neck, my within less time, all my liquid can go into that. But if I have a narrow neck, then it will be difficult. See, that is the concept of bottleneck. So we are identifying the bottlenecks which are creating an hindrance, which is creating an obstacle for all these parameters to be the best. Okay, understood the concept of bottleneck? Any queries till now?
No, sir.
Okay. I would like to repeat, you will all be getting the the recording of all the sessions, okay, and you will have the lifetime access to all the recordings. Okay, so our objective is to identify the bottlenecks, okay, in performance testing. Okay, now what is speed? Okay, what is speed? When I'm saying speed, speed is nothing but, as you are seeing, whenever you are opening any application, how fast that application is responding. How fast that application is responding means how quickly your application is opening. Okay. So how that is going to be impacted? That is going to be impacted by the response time of the server. It is going to be impacted by the response time of the server. What is response time? Interview question. Okay. What is response time? That is the interview question. So what will you say? So as I explained here, the requests go from the client to the server and the response goes from server to client. Remember these terms. The request goes from the client to the server and the server sends back the response back to the client. Now the time taken, okay, the time taken by the server to process that request and send the response back is known as the response time of the server or the server side response time. The time taken by the server to process that request, okay, whatever request it is getting from the client, the time taken by the server to process that request and send back the response to the client is known as the response time. Any queries? These are fundamental concepts, okay, for performance testing. These are fundamental concepts which you need to understand. Okay, then what is stability? Okay, what is stability? Stability is nothing but, let's say currently my application is being accessed by 100 users. After some time it is accessed by 200 users. After some time it is accessed by 300 users. Then after some time it is accessed by again 200 users. There is a reduction. Then again it is accessed by 300 users. So if you see the load, if we see the load, first it is like 100 users, okay, then 200 users, then 300 users, then again 200 users, again 300 users, again 100 users, again 500 users. So my load is not constant. My load is not constant. It is varying, right? So how does my application behave under the different loads which is put on the application server? Okay. So under the different loads which is put on the server or on the application, how the application is behaving, that is the stability. Okay. Behavior of the application, okay, behavior of the application under different loads, that is this stability. So how stability is, how it is behaving, that is the stability. Okay, we need to determine how the application is behaving under different loads. Then reliability, whether my application is reliable during different times, during different loads, during different conditions. Okay, whether my application is reliable. So reliability is also a important factor. Okay, whether my application is reliable. Then we have scalability. Okay, this is very important. All the cloud applications, all the cloud infrastructure, they are saying that today that we are highly scalable. Remember, we are highly scalable. So they are selling their products by using the term highly scalable. So what is scalability? So scalability is nothing but whenever, okay, whenever there is more user load, okay, whenever there is more user load, how my application is handling that, whether it is able to handle maximum user load on the system. So here what we are determining, we are determining the maximum user load. Okay, the maximum user load which my software can handle, which my application can handle. Okay, then resource usage I already explained, right? That how much percentage of CPU, how much percentage of CPU, how much percentage of memory, how much percentage of disk space is being used. This is my resource usage. Any queries on the different key parameters which we are measuring? Okay. Now,
Hello, sir.
yeah, please tell me.
Yeah, actually, there was an internet problem. Can you explain the point for reliability and scalability, sir?
Reliability and stability.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So stability is nothing but, for example, you see there is different loads. So at one time, let's say 100 users are accessing your application, then 200 users are accessing your application, then 300 are accessing, then again 200 is accessing, then again 300 is accessing, then again 100 is accessing, then again 500 is accessing. So there is different load on your application at different times, right? So we are determining how my application is behaving under different loads. That is stability. For example, you have a punching bag. Okay, you are hitting 10 times, then you are hitting 20 times, then 30 times, then again 10 times. So you are checking whether the punching bag is able to take all the punches or not. Okay, so that is my stability, how my application is behaving under different loads. Then reliability is like whether my application is reliable under different conditions, when there is high volume of data, when there is high volume of users. Okay, so stability and reliability, you know, means stability is whether the application is stable, and reliability is like during tough conditions also, whether the application is reliable, that I can believe upon, I can trust upon. Okay, so that is reliability. Any other queries?
So, sir, yeah, I have one doubt.
Yeah,
So, stability and scalability both are the same things
no,
because, okay,
no.
because we are
Stability
checking
and
the
scalability.
load. Okay.
No, see, stability means you are checking the behavior of your application. Okay, but scalability means what is the maximum user with, see, means your application is being used by some users. Okay, Now, all those users are using the resources, correct? Then, for example, there is an increase in the user load. So more resource will be used, agree?
Yes.
So there will be a time when there will be no resources left for to be used. So at that time, whatever maximum users are accessing the application, that is the maximum number of users, right? Which can access the application.
Yeah.
Correct. Beyond that, I do not have resources. So my application cannot scale up. That is why I use the term today, cloud solutions are saying that we are highly scalable. So what happens over there is whenever they see increase in the load, the resources get increased automatically. Okay. But in case of physical servers, that facility will not be there, because in your physical servers, the amount of CPU, the amount of memory, the amount of disk space, whatever you have configured, that is constant, right? But in case of cloud solutions, they can auto scale. I'm sorry. Understood?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any other queries? Okay.
That means, Chinmay, let's suppose if in future the user loads are going to be increased. So during performance testing, what we do, like if future load is going to increase, we test for that many future load, right? Uh, Currently the system is supported for 500 users, right? And if
Yeah.
in future it going to be supported for 1000, then we check for 1000. So in future there will not so as a cloud comes in, so there in future there won't be any test for future load testing like that. Does that mean
So whenever
if
you are doing
cloud is
doing performance testing, okay, you will do different types of test. Okay, you will do the test with usual load. You will do the test with higher load. I will come to those. Okay, what are those different types of tests? You will do the test with user load. You will do the test with higher load. So for that, you have to gather the requirements that what will be my volume of users after 5 years. That is my volumetric, future volumetric. Because you have to give the report that my application or the application under test is going to support these many users. Okay. Now the business or the customer, they have to take a decision that whether it fits the requirements or not, because the customer will only be able to tell that how many users are going to use their application in the future, right? As performance testing consultants, we will not have that knowledge, because we work on different domains. So the domain experts can only tell how many users they are expecting. And as PT consultants or as PT engineers, it is our responsibility to verify whether the application is going to handle that much load or not. If not, so if the customer is saying that no, my application, so this is a question, okay? You have done the testing, you find out that the application is not able to handle the future load. So what are you going to do? Based on your experience, what are you going to do? So your answer should be, I will recommend, use these terms, okay? As PT consultant, I will recommend to the customer to increase the hardware specifications in production, okay? Because in order to in order to process all the requests from these many users, my hardware needs to be increased, because I am proving that with this much of hardware, you can give the service to these many users only. So if your requirement is to have more number of users, you need to increase the hardware. That should be your recommendation. Okay.
so here the cloud comes into the picture, right, where it
No, no,
will
no,
get auto scaled.
no, no. See. Whether cloud will come into picture or not, that is based on your architecture. So my point is, if your application has a physical data center, okay, if your application has a physical data center in production, then cloud doesn't come into the concept. But if your application is deployed on cloud servers, then only cloud comes into picture. Understood? So first you have, so from your question, so in your question, what are you trying to say? Are you saying that my application is already deployed on cloud? And then,
Yes.
okay, yeah, in that case, if your application is already deployed on cloud, and if there are more number of users coming in, then they will auto scale. But again, for that, there is a price involved. Okay. As a customer, you cannot keep on increasing and then your cloud service provider will give these resources. No, there are contracts, right? There are agreements that companies like Microsoft, companies like Google, companies like Amazon, they are not fools, right? They will have an agreement with the customer. Tell me the number of users you're expecting, and then with a 20% increase or a 50% increase, I can auto scale free of cost. But beyond that, I will not do free of cost. So it's not that cloud is free. Okay. For example, I'll give you an example. Everyone of us uses Gmail, right? Gmail, how much Google, how much disk space does it give free of cost to you on Google Cloud or Drive? 15 GB.
15 GB. Yes.
Yeah. Beyond that, if you want, you have to pay a price. Understood? So it doesn't mean that if you are using Google Cloud, you have unlimited space, right? Everyone has a business to do. So here also, even if my application is deployed on cloud, I have a limit, right? Beyond that, if I have increase in the number of users, I have to pay. Clear?
Yes, got it. Thanks, Chinmay.
Any other queries? So guys, are you understanding the concepts?
Yes, better with the example. Yes, sir.
I will always try to give examples, okay? I'll try to give examples so that any layman can also understand, okay? So the objective is we understand the concepts properly so that once we dive into the tool, we will be able to understand it more, okay? Because our course is like from beginner, okay? Any beginner can understand, and that is why I'm requesting you all to ask as many as questions, clear all your doubts, and we will proceed, okay? Now, why to do performance testing? Okay, why to do? Can anyone say? I had given the answer to this question yesterday also. Why to do performance testing?
By this, we
So
can come to know the behavior of an application, sir, from the server side.
behavior of the application from the
From the
server side.
server side.
Okay, okay. Next.
For better user experience.
Sorry.
For better user experience.
For better user experience. Okay, good. I'm happy that you are using those terminologies, okay, which is related to performance. Okay, then any other answers? So the answers which I received, they are close to the answer. Now my point is, we are doing different types of testing, okay? Automation testing, manual testing, or functional testing. Over there, our objective is to verify whether the application functionality is working fine or not. Okay, whether the application functionality is working fine or not. But over there, I'll not be able to identify how fast my application is behaving, okay, or how stable is the application. Okay, so whatever points I have mentioned here, no, they are the hints to this answer. Okay, So my objective of performance testing is to identify the bottlenecks as well as to check what is the speed of my application, what is the response time, what is the stability, what there is the reliability, scalability, resource usage. Okay, so for that we are doing the performance testing. Now tell me, many times what will happen, customer will come and say, okay, my application has completed functional testing. There are no bugs. All my functionalities are working fine. Let me take the application to production. Then I'll do the performance testing. So as PT consultant, what should be your recommendation? As PT consultant, what should be your recommendation? So will you agree to the point of the customer that okay, you can take the application to production and then we will do the performance testing? Will you agree?
No.
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 No, sir.
Yeah. Now, why? Because if you simply say no, will the customer agree? You have to give some justification, right? You have to give some,
Because at some time it will going to be hang, sir.
right? At some time. If that some time is the day one itself when the application goes live. For example, the first big billion day sale of Flipkart. So you just think from a businessman point of view, how much loss, okay, how much loss it made to Flipkart as well as the brand value, okay, as well as the brand value. So you have to educate to the customer, see boss, my recommendation is to always conduct the performance testing before the application goes live to production. Because once it goes to production and then if any failure happens and then you are asking me to do the the performance testing, then you are being reactive, and reactive doesn't work. We have to be proactive. Okay, we have to do the things before by predicting and avoiding the problem, because we have a lot of competition in the market today. If my application is not behaving correctly, my users will go to my competitor. Are you getting me? That is why performance testing is necessary. It should be done before the application goes to production so that I can find out what are the bottlenecks which are creating issues in the application. Okay. Then if I also have to see if the problem doesn't happen on the first day, if the problem happens after a long duration, okay, in that case also that is a problem. So that is why I have to do this endurance testing before the application goes to production, so that I can say that yes, the application is reliable and it can withstand the load for a longer duration of time. Okay, that is also the need for performance testing. Okay, then we have, for example, let's say there are hospitals, right? In hospitals we have the medical devices being used, correct? But most of the medical devices, whatever is being used, they are not developed by doctors. They are developed by scientists. They are developed by engineers, correct? Now we need to know that whatever medical equipment, let's say we are talking about, if they are life saving, if they save lives, shouldn't we know how long that medical equipment is going to serve without any issues? Because it is going to cost the life of a human being, correct? So the mission critical, remember, mission critical, okay, mission critical applications need to be performance tested, okay, need to be performance testing. Okay, then you see, like if the application performance is not proper, it will cause huge loss. Okay, and we cannot imagine that, for example, sub applications like Facebook, applications like Amazon Web Services, okay, the Google Cloud, the Azure Cloud, if they are even down for, let's say, 10 minutes or 15 minutes also, it will cause a huge loss, huge impact to the company. That is why performance testing is required. Clear, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Any
Yes,
queries till
till
now? I'll take a pause, and if there are any queries. Okay. So now we understood, okay, what is performance testing, why we are doing performance testing, what is the need of performance testing. Okay, now that we have understood all these things, I'll take you to the types of performance testing. Okay, I'll take you to the types of performance testing. Any queries till now, guys?
No, so far so good.
Sorry, I was not able to hear you.
No queries, so far so good. Yeah.
Thank you. So now, what are the types of performance system? Okay, we do different types of test in a performance test. Okay, we do different types of test in a performance test. Why? Because the requirement is different, the objective of every test is different. Based on my requirements for performance testing, I will do the different types of testing. Okay, you see this figure which I have given here, virtual users. Why virtual? Because I am not using real users for my performance testing. Remember always, what we do in performance testing, we are simulating. Remember, we are simulating the real user actions, but the behavior, okay, the actions, whatever a real user will do, we are mimicking that, we are simulating that, but that is putting the exact load, okay, on the servers which would have come from the real users. Okay, so here if you see, we have virtual users. Okay, so we do the performance testing with the help of virtual users. Now the different types of testing, the first one is load testing, then stress testing, spike testing, breakpoint testing, soak or endurance testing. Okay, so the first one, what is load testing? Okay, so let's think of an application. Okay, you have an application which you have developed. Okay, so you will have that figure in mind, that how many users your application is going to be used by. Okay, the normal load. Okay, the normal load of users who will be using your application, you will have that figure. Okay, so basically we do the load testing with the normal user load, whatever we are expecting for our application. Okay, that is the load testing. And load testing is normally done for 1 hour or 2 hours. Okay, remember that. So we do the load testing for 1 or 2 hours with the number of users which we are anticipating, or the number of users which is a normal load. And during the load testing, we are identifying whether my application, okay, whether my application as well as my application servers, they are behaving correctly. Okay, they are having good performance under the normal user load. Any queries? So basically, on any normal day, if my application is going to be used by 200 users, okay, if my application is going to be used by 200 users, I'll do my test with 200 users for the load test. For the load test, I'll do the test with 200 users. In this figure, if you see, like load test is this orange line. Load test is this orange line. It is shorter than endurance. I'll explain what is endurance. So here you see the test time is on x-axis, virtual users is on, so the number of users is on y-axis. Okay. So load test, if you see here, this is the orange line. So once I complete all these tests now, you will be able to understand this figure. Okay. Any queries on load testing? Okay. So then I move on to the stress testing. Okay. I move on to the stress testing. So I now know that how many users are going to use my application on a normal day. Then I will also have to know, okay, also have to know what can be my maximum load, okay, or what can be my stressed load, okay, so or the extreme load, okay. So the basically what we do is, if we are doing the load testing with 100 users or 200 users, we increase the number of users by 2 times or 3 times, okay, by 2 times or 3 times. So as we are discussing one question, if I'm expecting after 5 years my number of users is going to increase by 200%, if it is going to increase by 200%, in my performance test strategy I will tell that I am going to do the stress testing with increased 200% of the normal user load. So what does that imply? If I have 100 users for the load test, I'll do the stress test with how many users? Please answer. If I am doing the load test with 100 users, for stress test I'm expecting 200% increase after 5 years. Okay. So what should be the volume for stress testing? Simple mathematics. This is not related to performance testing. I'm asking about. Think, guys. Then only you will be able to define your performance strategy. So it will be 300 users, right? 100% increase means double. So 200. So 200% increase of load test means how many? 300 users, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I will check the application with 300 users, and if my application performance is good, if my application performance meets the requirements, I will certify to the customer that the application can handle 300 concurrent users. Okay, that is my stress test. So I'm basically checking whether my application can handle extreme workload or high traffic on my application. Understood? Then I will come to any queries on stress testing.
No, sir.
Then I will go to spike testing. You see here, spike test is violet or purple in color. Okay. So spike testing is nothing, what we'll do is, just imagine your test is getting executed with 100 users. Okay. Your test is getting executed with 100 users. Suddenly you increase to 300. Suddenly you increase the load to 300. Then you again decrease to 100. Okay. So your condition, you remember the condition. Okay. My test is running at 100 users. I'm sorry. I suddenly increase the load to 300 users. I decrease the load to 100 users again. I increase the load to 500 users, and then I again decrease the load to 100 users. So what did I do? I increase the number of users suddenly. I increase the number of users suddenly and again decrease them. So increase, decrease, right? So I'm creating the sudden increase and sudden decrease. So this is nothing but the spike testing. Okay, I'm suddenly increasing the load. Okay, so there is a normal load, then I'm suddenly increasing to check the behavior of the application. Now I'll ask you one question. Where is spike testing applicable? Tell me an example. Where is spike testing applicable?
When
Can
the
be answer, right?
load is not fixed,
Can be
Where
answer the
the
question, right?
is not constant.
No, I'm
where the
asking
highest load
me a real-time
going
example, real-life example. You all are very much acquainted with it. Give me a
during
real
during the increasing factor.
during the
Increasing factor.
In the medical terminology, like the heartbeat kind of things.
okay. So I'll give you an example. You all can relate to it. Flipkart is going to launch a new mobile of a particular brand at 12 p.m. tomorrow. So you will see, what will you see? Till 11:58, till 11:59, there is normal load, right? As soon as it is 12, the number of users accessing Flipkart will suddenly increase or not?
Yes.
Understood?
Yes, sir.
Real life example. Over there, you need to do spike testing. Okay. So if your requirement is to test such kind of scenario, you need to do spike testing. Sudden increase. Sudden increase. Okay. Now, any queries till now? Next,
No,
I'll
sir.
go to breakpoint testing. Okay. What is breakpoint testing? Many people get confused with stress testing and breakpoint testing. Listen to this carefully. Interview question. What is the difference between stress testing and breakpoint testing? Okay. Stress testing, I have already explained that you are doing the test with increased load. Okay. So your application was behaving properly with 100 users. Then you did the test with 300 users. Okay. So during the test with 300 users, your application servers might go down or might not go down. So the performance can be usual as per the requirement, or else the servers could go down. Agree? Agree or not?
Yes, sir.
That's
If
correct.
my servers are not able to handle that load, definitely they will go down. But if they are able to handle, it will not go down. So the objective of breakpoint testing is to find out the breakpoint where my application fails. Okay. My objective of breakpoint testing is that to find where my application fails. So in stress testing, my application might fail or might not fail. But in breakpoint testing, definitely the application will go to fail. Because so if I take that example, I did the load test with 100 users. I did the stress test with 300 users, and the SLA is met, or the response time is below the SLA. Okay, means whatever is my requirement, it is fulfilling my requirement. So my application can handle 300 users. So what I will do, I will increase the load gradually. If the requirement is to find out the breakpoint, I will increase the load gradually. 400, I'll see the behavior. 500, I'll see the behavior. So I have to find out the number of users at which my application will break down. That is my breakpoint testing. Understood?
Yes.
So that is my breakpoint testing. Then endurance testing or the soak testing. So this is nothing but you are going to do the test with a normal load. Okay. Even 75% or 50% of normal load also for a longer duration. For a longer duration to check whether my application is able to perform for a longer duration of time. So that is my endurance test or soak test. If you see here, all the timings of test are same, okay, for other tests, but breakpoint I don't know where I'll achieve my breakpoint, so I keep on trying. But endurance test timing is longer. Okay, understood what are the different types of performance testing?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll take a pause here. We will break for tonight. Thank you all for the attending today's session. We'll resume on Monday. So Saturday and Sunday we don't have classes. We'll resume on Monday. Okay. Thank you. Thank you all for joining today. Have a good night.
Thank you, Chinmay.
Good night,
Thank you,
sir.
team.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Chinmay.